Hey everybody, welcome to a very special bonus episode of Just Listen to Yourself with Kira Davis. Of course, I am your host, Kira Davis, and this is the podcast where I ask you to take out some of your favorite talking points and arguments on hot button issues of the day and draw them out to their logical conclusions. Because I think when we all take a moment to actually listen to some of the things we're saying and actually think about them, we might change our mind on those issues. Sometimes we're not saying what we think we're saying. So it's a thought exercise, a little bit of exercise in persuasion. But I wanted to do this bonus episode. It's actually a response episode because I've been getting such great feedback on these shows. I think that people are really kind of digging the idea of digging into their thoughts a little more closely. And as I had hoped, people have been responding and sending in their own ideas about what I've been talking about. And I did an episode recently on gender equality, which brought up the idea of family leave, paid family leave. Now, as a conservatarian, I guess I would call myself, I feel strongly, and you can go back and listen to my opinion on the gender equality episode. But I feel strongly that the government doesn't have a place forcing employers to pay women to have families and then pay them while they're not working. I kind of feel the same way about like exorbitant pensions. I mean, it's one thing if you make the agreement with your employer, but to require it means that you're forcing employers to pay someone who's not working. So that's the gist of it. I mean, of course, my argument is more nuanced and the gender equality episode covers way more than just that. So definitely go back and take a listen if you have any questions. But I got a letter from a listener who also happens to be a friend of mine. Her name is Tina Whittington. And she sent me an email. She disagreed with some of the comments that I made about paid family leave, and she disagreed with my opinion on the issue, and she wrote this great email, and it was so well thought out and persuasive, and she made a great argument herself. So I asked for her permission to read it and to respond to it. She said yes. So I'm going to read Tina's letter on my gender equality episode. Hi Kira, just got done listening to your episode on gender equality. Nice job. Thank you, Tina. Question, when you spoke about paid family leave and how you felt it wasn't a conservative issue, I wanted to give you a different perspective. I think paid family leave is coming to us no matter what, and we as conservatives can lead on it and shape it into something that won't harm small businesses or cost the government. I'm not sure if you've looked into the plans that conservatives have proposed, but they're all outlined on, and she gave this website. The website is paidleaveforfamilies.com. That's paidleaveforfamilies.com. Anyways, most of these are budget neutral because you are borrowing from your own Social Security and then paying yourself back. I know there are other issues with Social Security in general as a program. And then if the program can withstand the social culture changes and birth rates and etc. But in general, when we can see something is coming, whether we like it or not, and it is something morally neutral, like paid family leave, do you think conservatives should step up and take the lead in crafting the direction it should go? Obviously, there are other issues that liberals are pushing that are moral wrongs that we can't take the lead in creating, but we need to look at how to hold them back. I just think we need more watchmen on the wall who perceive the tides and navigate the changes strategically. I think that paid family leave ideas that have been proposed are one example of that. And I would argue that we need more things like this to hold back future damage to society, government, and culture. And then she goes on to say, when I listen to your podcast, I am totally wishing you were sitting here so I could ask you questions for clarity. I do too. I wish there was a way. I mean, I can't wait for the day when I get enough street cred to do these podcasts live. And then we can have that back and forth. But Tina, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for that email. You really gave me a lot to think about. I actually have read the proposals that you outlined in that website. And if you're interested, again, that website is paidleaveforfamilies.com. These are different conservative-ish proposals for paid family leave. I really liked your argument, Tina, about you saying, this issue is coming, whether we like it or not. We've looked down the pipeline. We can't escape it. This is one issue we can get out in front of, and we can be the people that frame it. We don't have to let the quote, the left or the progressive left or whatever you want to, the hippies, whatever you want to call them. We can frame that ourselves, and we can shape it into something we want. I really value that perspective, and I like it. I get what you're saying. I don't think that you've made arguments here that change my mind, Tina, but I see it from a new perspective. I see it from the idea. I think you're right on about kind of getting out in front and being the ones to shape it. Here's why I just don't think that that's a good idea, no matter what. First of all, as you pointed out yourself, a lot of these ideas are based on things like borrowing from Social Security. So you're not stressing your employer. It's not your employer that's paying you for not being there, which is my big problem with paid family leave. I just think it's ridiculous to ask someone to pay for work that's not being done. I don't even find that controversial. But what you're saying, and what most of these proposals, to be honest, are saying is, well, what if we have it so that it's borrowed money? So this woman is borrowing it from her future Social Security payments. And so it's not costing the employer anything. It's coming out of her own investment in the future. And so therefore it's budget neutral. But then you go on to point out that we have issues with the Social Security program. I mean, I think that's a pretty big if Social Security stays solvent, if Social Security lasts, what if we craft this legislation and then make it law for everybody, which, by the way, that's another problem I have. None of this stuff should be happening on the federal level. None of it. I am a federalist, which liberals seem to think means that you're in favor of a strong central government. No, federalism is actually states' rights. So I don't think any of this should be done on a federal level. First of all, I think that's dangerous. And we, Tina, you and I know why, based on our fight in the pro-life ring, right? We know what happens when certain decisions are federalized instead of letting the states enjoy their statehood privilege of deciding for themselves. So I have an issue with that, but let's put that aside. I think it's silly to think that to depend on Social Security to pay for anything when it's not even really there in the first place. So that money that, let's say you, Tina, are borrowing to go have your baby and stay at home with your baby, that's not your money in the first place. It's not really there. You're already taking that. The government has spent your money. You're not putting into Social Security. Whenever that money comes out of your paycheck, that's a lie. It says Social Security on it, but it's not there. That money doesn't exist. It's been spent. So it literally is borrowing from someone else to pay yourself. And it's borrowing against the hope that government will still have this in place for you when you get old enough to enjoy it, which I don't think is realistic either. So I think it's a bad strategy to depend on future Social Security payments when the present Social Security payments aren't even really real. That's my first objection with the very salient and persuasive argument you laid out. My other issue is that I see what you're saying, that this stuff is coming down the pipeline. You've looked, you see it, it's unavoidable, but there are a lot of things that are unavoidable, but I don't think that we should step back on it. I don't think we should acquiesce that ground, because it's a game of inches, and then before you know it, you've moved back 2 miles. And I would call myself a libertarian, except I just can't get with the libertarians on religious stuff and of course this life issue. But I'm very hands off when it comes to the government. I really don't think the government are advocate. The government is there to provide certain things, and then the rest should be up to us. So I don't even think the government has a place in this, and I wouldn't want to endorse that no matter what. I don't think the government has a place, because this is what happens. This is what I'm thinking happens. You borrow against your Social Security, future Social Security, so you can stay home with your baby. And then at some point, Social Security fails, or some other liberal activist group pops up and says, this is fine, but we need to be doing more, because government doesn't ever just stop where it is. Government never shrinks. Government only expands. So what you're talking about is adding to the expansion of government, and then you're going to set in motion a process that will keep expanding. It will never just stay that one thing. It will never just be you borrowing from the future to pay for your family leave now. It won't just be that. Before you know it, there'll be activist groups who say, well, you know what? Black women don't live as long as white women. Black men don't live as long as white men. So they're borrowing against something that they're never going to get. Shouldn't they have this paid for by someone else? White people have more money in their Social Security because they live longer. Shouldn't they be the ones to pay for our family leave? That's just an example of how I think it would go down. I mean, it could be anything. Somebody will come along and say, this isn't fair. We need more. That's one thing that happens. What happens when Social Security folds? What happens when Social Security folds? Is the government just going to say, well, you know, that paid family leave thing was really great while we had it, but, you know, unfortunately, we've irresponsibly blown all the Social Security money that we've had, and we'll just cut the program. Is that what's going to happen? No, the program is not going to get cut. The program's going to move to the tax base. The program's going to move to the taxpayer. The program's going to move to the employer. So it's not that I think your idea is a bad one. I mean, I think it's certainly a better idea than what people on the left are proposing, and I understand the impetus behind it, and your argument is very well made and very well taken, by the way. Don't think that my answering back or my response doesn't mean that I wasn't moved by some of the points you made. But I just feel like we should never be giving government more control, and I don't think it is the government's place in any way to be in our and this is the thing. If you let them do this, what comes after this? What does the government get to force on you as an employer or on you as a family member? At what point, when do we say the government has no place in here? We are very active in the pro-life movement. And so we know what happens when the government takes a little bit of leeway. How long has it been a fight just to get somebody to make a law that says, hey, don't kill a baby just before it's ready to be born. A third trimester baby. You know, how long has that fight taken? You give the government just a little bit of leeway. You make a ruling that's kind of vague, that has something to do with privacy, the right to privacy. And then all of a sudden that becomes the justification for the abortion of millions and millions of innocent babies. The government doesn't stop. The government never shrinks. The government only ever expands. So I can't get behind an idea that is going to give the government more control over your life. I can't do it. I must say, I think if you want a family and you have to work, then you need to work that out with your spouse. If you have had a family without a spouse, conditions in your life have led you to that, and it's just unavoidable. You can't change the past. It is what it is. Then you need to be in a community of people who can help you. Your family, your church, your local neighborhood, you know, a work community, a faith community, something. This is why Jesus doesn't say all this stuff goes to government to do. He tells us to do it because we're the ones who can help each other, and we won't end up oppressing each other the way that the government inevitably ends up oppressing the taxpayer. So your point is well made. Perhaps paid family leave is coming no matter what we do. I don't think if I'm just being intellectually honest, I can get behind expanding government. It will not stop there. And then who's going to pay for it when Social Security goes belly up? It's not going to go away. It's going to move to the tax base, and then it'll get even bigger. Then maybe we're paying for a year or 2 years or 2 years for both parents. I mean, God, think of the chaos that creates in the economy. It's difficult. Europeans have this problem. That's why they keep having to make more and more laws for women, even though, gosh, you know, it's 2019. Women should be as free as whatever. But what happens is women get the short end of the stick because on the back end, these businesses in the privacy of their offices say, she's qualified for the job, but the European Union forces me to give her 18 months of paid leave, and we can't afford that. So we're going to pass her over. That's how that works. So eventually women end up paying the price for this kind of stuff. And that's why I'm not for it. Again, that website that Tina laid out is paidleaveforfamilies.com. You can go take a look at those ideas. If you want to get in on this, go ahead and hit me up on Twitter. And my email, by the way, is on my Twitter profile. So if you want to send me an email, head over to Twitter, grab it, and shoot me over an email. It's a Gmail, so Google's going to see everything you ask me, just so you know. But yeah, definitely tell me what you think. Do you think Tina's got a point here? Am I wrong? Is my point of view skewed on this? Maybe there's something that I'm missing. Thank you so much, Tina, for that response. Thank you for listening. I can't thank you enough for just taking the time to listen, but then you took the time to write me. That blows my mind. Thank you so much. And by the way, Tina is also the coordinator, I guess director, for a great pro-life organization called Students for Life. And if you're out there right now on a college campus and maybe you're pregnant, or you just found out your girlfriend's pregnant and you're scared and you're not sure what to do, and you're not sure that Planned Parenthood is the place you want to go first, go to studentsforlife.org, look them up, and they have so many resources on there. They are on so many campuses, and that's what they do. They do kind of, educational stuff, but they have students, they have people your age who will walk through you with this and who will support you. And who will help you find the resources that you need. So I don't know. I just felt moved to say this. Tina didn't ask me to, but I know what they do, and I know how scary it must be to be a young college student, a young college woman, and you've got your whole life ahead of you, and you think you've got this plan and everything's going to go according to the plan. And then boom, this pops up and it rocks your world. But there are people right where you are who can help you. So go to studentsforlife.org to find the nearest chapter near you. All right. I hope you enjoyed this bonus episode. Catch you guys next time right here on Just Listen to Yourself with Kira Davis. Bye.